Today I will be reviewing my painting Man at the Crossroads for my Aesthetic Appreciation class. Just from the beginning of this unit in structure, we had the questions of have I ever been to an art gallery, which I hadn't before, which was a good experience for the first time going to one in Des Moines. If I ever spent time with paintings, analysed paintings, which I haven't ever, and a bit about my background in painting, which was very little to nothing at all. When I decided to choose painting, which I chose for number 7, which is Man at the Crossroads, the way I looked at it was my main aspect was the wings, making him look like a pilot with all the people watching him excitedly, which made it look like he was important. And my original analysis was that it could be like a creator pilot with all of the scientific technology around him that may be at play with all the history around him too. So that was my beginning knowledge of the painting, and I also thought it was very vibrant with all the colours, especially on the wings. It was more of a pastel colour, more of the lighter colours that popped out. So to begin with, I'll look at how the painting is layered, and it has the figures, as I said, at the bottom that are all looking up to the pilot who's like on a stage with all the wings around him, showing us how important he is, which when you analyse it more is all of the technology around him, and with the scientific microscopic images on one side of the wing, on the top left and bottom right, and then more being the space and other aspects that was more important during the time that it was created in the 1900s. The painting was made to portray the scientists working on time. I think at this time creating conflict due to the argument at the time was the scientific approach, and then obviously with the arguments with this going into space, etc. Individually, it creates a quite clashing world, but it's like one together due to the pilot bringing it all together, which creates unification. A bit about Rivera. He was a Mexican muralist with Mexican heritage and with politics, and he reflected his art with social aspects of life, which was shown heavily in this one. But these symbols were a reason. It was a response to his own beliefs in the political tensions, which was big, and had a higher expectation for art at the time. This was a unique painting, and it still is a unique painting as many look at it today as we are, due to it was one of the older paintings that showed political concerns, as today art's more viewed as with political and to always send a message, whereas at that time it wasn't so much. It was only starting to come this, and Rivera was really pushing that straight forward, showing his artistic freedom with all the crossroads and all of the differences that's happening at the time. A bit of the history behind it and the context was about how at the time it was capitalism, communism, dominance, and it was a reflection of global struggles about the scientific and space world at the time, as all of the funding was going towards trying to go to space, and just about how this was an historical document now to show how it was the ideas that were clashing at the time. When you look at this, the way I look at it is I look straight at the pilot as it's the main focal point, and then I'll look up to the left and to the left, and then I'll follow the wings as my view as I'm going up and down the left hand side, and it shows me more of a representation of it all as you look at all the people around him. And as you look at it, the lines on the wings like creating a center point where the pilot is, with him holding the wheel as it all diverts towards him, making it more really important. And then all the colours, the bright colours around him, especially in the space one, and like the gold and the warmer colours, makes it better to look at. And the vanishing points, I have as the top corners as like where the wings are pointing away, and then the horizon line sits just between the two wings, exactly going through the wheel, and his hands in the middle as it shows it's like where he's going. The painting is quite symmetrical. Obviously it's not exactly the same, but the shapes are very similar, as if you split a line straight down the middle of the man's face. At the top there's the wheel and like the cogs, and then there's the clock in the background, and then on both sides is like mirrors / lights, and then there's the two wings with the plants coming across the bottom as well. So it's not perfectly symmetrical, but it's not completely against it. The emphasis is put on the man due to like the bright colours, as I've said, around him, as it's like the warmer colours like popping out, and it's very vivid, so it's forcing you to look towards him and see the man's expression of a bit confusion at the time. And if you look towards the top left, there's like the war aspect as well, as you see people in gas masks and with guns, as it represents, because at the time there was a similar aspect